Unit 15, IELTS Test Practice. Section 4. You will hear a talk given by a software engineer to a group of IT students. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 10. Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 10.
Good morning, everyone. My name is John McNally, and as you know, I'm a software engineer. I work very close to Gatwick Airport in Britain, and at work we assemble flight simulators which are used to train aeroplane pilots. So, before any pilot is able to get in a real plane and fly it, they have to prove that they can operate all the controls in an aeroplane by flying in a computerized model. So, what does a flight simulator look like? Well, here's a picture of one. The simulator here is a model of a plane called an Airbus A320. As you can see, it's a large, almost round blob or box that moves on usually 6 legs to simulate the movement of an aircraft in the air. The legs tend to be driven by hydraulics, but there are some electric ones around. Either way, they operate to simulate the motion, the pitch and roll of the aircraft. The simulator can move up in the air or stretch, giving the trainee the feeling of flying upwards. At the very front, in the curved area here, is the mirror. And this is here so that images can be created that look exactly like an airport or landscape. Inside, the simulator tends to resemble an actual flight deck in an aircraft. And what happens is that generally the instructor stands or sits behind the trainee and positions the aircraft to any airport or any position on that airport using a touch screen. In this way, the instructor can train the pilot, and there are many tests that the instructor can put the trainee through. He can fail an engine in flight, for example, to test the trainee's ability to react to malfunctions. How does it do this? Well, the simulator contains many computers, most of which have to communicate with each other. That's my job, and I work with many other software experts on this. We work in teams which vary in size, and each team has a specialist area. But all the systems need to know what the other is doing. If the instructor wants to simulate a storm, for example, the flight experts need to know the strength of the winds and if there is any turbulence. At the same time, the navigation people need to know where the storm is, how far away, and place it on the pilot's navigation screen. And the engine experts need their information to ensure a safe passage. In fact, landing an aircraft in rough weather is one of the most difficult things to do. And I've seen some very pale people step out of simulators in my time here. It can get very stormy in there. But trainees don't get into a simulator straight away. There are many different devices used in the training process, and this starts on a very simple level. One of the first things a trainee must know is how to input data into the flight management computer. The pilot on an aircraft enters information such as current airport, destination airport, as well as his route and other things such as the amount of fuel and aircraft weight. This procedure can be learned on a PC. Next, he may need to learn to manage the controls, for example, using the joystick to move up or down or left or right. He gets the feel of these controls and how they impact on the instruments. This can be learned on a fixed base simulator. That's one that doesn't move. Finally, he needs to take off, land and fly in the air during turbulence, etc. So for that, he needs a full flight simulator with motion. Trainee pilots vary in age and ability, and so the length of time it takes to train them also varies. Once a pilot has qualified on the simulator, they are entitled to fly an aircraft. But they are only called a first officer at this stage and must fly under an experienced captain, unless they are an experienced pilot who is simply retraining to fly a different aircraft type.
That is the end of section 4. You now have half a minute to check your answers. That is the end of the listening test. At the end of the real test, you will have 10 minutes to transfer your answers to the listening answer sheet.